Hey, what's up, everybody? Listen. This is Relentless Lamar, the relationship king, and the big reason why I'm coming to you tonight is because I want to talk about being a caretaker. And I want to talk about how that can shift your life, how being a caretaker can be stressful, how being a caretaker can be, it requires a super amount of sacrifice, understanding, and patience. Let me tell you about my life. First of all, if you're not familiar with me, pretty much who I am, I'm a serial entrepreneur. My name is Lamar Relentless Smith, or Relentless Lamar, the relationship king. And listen, I had a situation where um, the woman of my life, not from a romantic side, but the woman who brought me in this world, Arinthia Smith, my favorite lady, she passed away on October 28th, 2020, from complications of COVID-19. How frustrating it is. Well, my mother and I were very close, super close. One of the most important people that I ever met in my life. And she's always, she just taught me how to love. I just never met such an incredible woman, incredible person, loving person. And she just loved on everybody who she met. And it was genuine from the heart. And I thank God for her, because if I didn't have her, my older brother and I, we wouldn't know how to love. My father would have never known what the meaning of true love is, and he understands that now in this day and time. So, losing her unexpectedly, and how she was, how she initially got COVID, and it's either had to take place in one of three places. Either that year in 2020, everybody remember, pandemic started in March. So around like July-ish, my father and my mother took, I think they took July and August, they took two different COVID tests. They were deemed as being negative. And so my father, since he has the mentality and the spirit of being a narcissistic person. Now, if you don't know what a narcissistic person is, look it up, but I'm going to give you a brief detail of what that is. A narcissistic individual is somebody who pretty much is someone who they are the type of individuals who are very selfish, think about them, and they're looking for to get their way no matter what. And I grew up in this type of atmosphere, that type of individual. And that's why we butted heads, because I'm a completely selfless person, but this person is a selfish person. And he cheated on my mom a lot in marriage. He disrespected her a lot in the marriage. He he wasn't a good husband. He provided for us food, housing, clothing, but emotionally aspect, he sucked as a husband, sucked as a father to me and my brother. It was more like a dictatorship type of home. And that was definitely not appreciated coming up. So, from that perspective, but my mom's complete opposite, selfish, loving, out there, funny, just a joy, just a joy and a spirit to be around. And so my dad is the type of individual who, again, he had his ways. But as I've gotten to know him more, um, there's a lot that I'm learning that he didn't know. And so someone cannot give you anything that they don't have, right? So it comes in the point in life right now where I become a teacher towards him. So, point that I'm making by me saying that is that how did I get here? How are we here now to become a caregiver? Well, once my mother and father both were positive with COVID-19. I told you they took the test July and August and October that year. How did this happen? My father took my mother out for their 53rd anniversary, and they went to the casino. I didn't find out until later, till my mother told me. So I really was upset because it happened after, and they're in their 70s at this time. Respectively, my mom was 77, my dad was 76, and I just felt that that just wasn't smart to go out there and do. Um, After that incident, which took place around September 30th, that's the anniversary, maybe like beginning of October, I'm thinking that's what happened because even in the casino, according to my aunt, rest in peace, she just told me, my aunt Blanche, she had recently told me at around that time that my mother and father had went their separate ways inside of the casino, and my father had a hard time trying to find her. So in between that and being around other people, I think that's when she contracted COVID and he may have contracted COVID. My father still never told me about that incident to today, but he told my aunt Blanche. So anyway, excuse me, I might get a little emotional. But yeah, so from that situation, a couple of days later, another thing I didn't agree with, obviously there was a big election that year, in 2020 and November 2020, but you could do early voting. And my father goes to do early voting with my mother at Roxborough High School. That took place, I believe, on October the 7th. So as my mom was coming down the stairs at the voting, and again, I didn't agree with them voting in person because this is why they had the voting ballots. But my father at the time felt that, um, you know, uh, he felt that being um, mm, that the votes in the mail would get lost, and that's because he was listening to the propaganda that was on television. If you know anything about that election of 2020, a lot of the last year, a lot of the voting that went on and that helped Joe Biden win that year was because of the mail-in votes, right? But he was listening to propaganda. They're gonna lose the votes, this and that, yada yada yada. My mother and him and my father are coming from Roxborough High. My mother slips and falls and coming down the stairs and bangs her head a little bit. Again, I didn't know about this. I'm working at my business. Shout out to Dreams Ice Cream Factory. So I'm working my business and I'm understanding that my mom, I get a call from my brother. Shout out to Marlo, and he's like, "Hey, listen, mom fell. She was in the hospital. She bumped her head." I'm like, "She bumped her head and she fell." I just thought it was, you know, I was mad then because I'm like, "Where's my dad at? Why is she falling? She should, you should be helping her down the stairs or what have you." Again, I'm not there. I don't know what's going on. So then they're coming home. For those in my Philadelphia area, Philadelphia region, I always told my father to go to any type of emergency, go to uh, excuse me, go to Moss Rehab, which is located right outside of Philadelphia, owned by Einstein. They have an ER there. So, but it's known as a rehab place. But a lot of people don't know they have an ER there. So, literally, when you sign your name and go sit down, they'll call you back. And It's just located right outside of Philly. It's still like a hidden gem, especially at that time. And how I found out about it, because I used to be a health inspector. All right. And I inspected the kitchen. And the gentleman, Pete, shout out to Pete, he was like, listen, if you ever need to go to the emergency room, try us, because there's not a lot of action that goes on in here. And that's literally only 10 minutes away from my father's house. The direction that they were coming from, they were going to they were actually going to another Einstein affiliated hospital, which is located on Borden Island, which is a trauma hospital. But if anybody knows anything about that hospital, you'll be waiting in the ER for like 6 hours, unless you're like bleeding open, or you got a bullet in your ass, a knife in your neck. I mean, you're gonna be waiting. So they went to the ER. My mom said her head was bumped her head. My pop did the right decision by taking her to the ER. In my opinion, he just took her to the wrong ER. He should have took her to the Moss Rehab and not that one. And so being in there, you can wait hours and hours. So when I found out about it, and I don't know why I didn't trigger myself to think about why. I said to myself, I said, why did they go to that hospital? You know, that's COVID City. And I meant that because it gets so crowded in there. And where if you go to the other ER, there's not a lot of people there. Excuse me. So pretty much what I did was, I just wish, in hindsight, looking back, like, I should have told both of them to get tested, and that was on the 7th of October. I remember coming over there, which I think was like a Wednesday. Yeah, the 8th was Thursday, the 9th. The 10th was Saturday. So I came over on that Saturday to see my mom. And I never forget, she was like, hey, she's like, Lamar, listen, I want to show you my discharge papers. And I said, cool. And she's like, I want to show you where I bumped my head at. And I was like, cool. So she shows me, and I didn't feel anything that was like swollen. And my mom and I, we had a nickname for each other. The nickname was Cuda, CUDA, kind of like a Barracuda car. And I was like, hey, Cuda. It's like, you okay? She's like, I'm fine. So I feel fine. And I read the discharge papers, and everything seemed cool. So, excuse me. So the only thing that it said on there, potentially, that she could have like a thyroid issue, but it was like nothing crazy. I still got those discharge papers to this day. And when I read it initially, I read it, but it was saying that it possibly was benign. So I didn't sweat it. She was fine.
And that was on the 10th of October 2020. That's Saturday. So I remember coming, I always speak to my mom every day. She called me several times. I missed that about her. Because she loved me. And, she said to me, we would talk during the week. I normally would come over there on Sundays to visit her and my dad. So I just remember, being there, and I remember coming over the following Sunday, which was the 18th. And I noticed like her speech was a little slow. She was moving a little slow. But yo, the crazy thing, y'all, is that she just she just had a way of she had a way of like I said, just loving. She was weak. She went in. She like, hey, say, hey, cool, you want something to eat? And I was like, yeah. And she heated me up. So some leftover dinner. I forget exactly what it was. But why I'm getting so emotional because that was her way of just still showing love, even though she wasn't feeling great. Again, no cough, no fever, no signs of like COVID to me. She brings me dinner, we hang out a little bit. And little did I know that would be the last meal she would ever heat up for me or give me. So from there, I went and excuse me, this is a little tough. From there I went and like I said, I left, and then that was on the 18th, which was a Sunday. So I get a call that Tuesday morning, which was the 20th, October 20th, 2020. And my dad says to me, calls me, he's complaining, oh, your mom, she's sick. She fell down twice. I had to pick her up. She fell in the bathroom. So instantly I'm scared when he's telling me this. I'm like, man, she fell in the bathroom. Like, did she bump her head? Is she bleeding? And then he's complaining. He says, I cannot take it anymore. I don't want her to live with me. And I had to rewind back to 2019. My father was in remission of having bladder cancer. Him and I had a conversation about my mother, and he said, listen, your mom. He said, just let you know that your mother, she's, he said, look, she's, make sure if I was to ever pass, make sure you don't put her in a nursing home. He said, give me your word. I said, sure, Pop. I wasn't planning on doing that, but I definitely gave you my word. Like, I don't want her in a nursing home. Fast forward to October 20th, 2020, that Tuesday. he's like, listen, he's like, I can't take it no more. I want her to go to a nursing home. And I'm on the phone with him like, well, a year ago you told me you would never. Why would you make me promise that to you and you fed up? So anyway, in my head, I was like, all right, listen, she don't gotta live with you, and now I'll prepare for her to live with me. He's like, I'm going to call an ambulance, and I'm like, I ain't not taking my mom an ambulance when I can drive her myself. So I said, well, I told him to be right there. It was like about 5:36 in the morning. I remember coming over there to the room, my parents' room. And my mom sees me, but she's weak. But she jumps up. Well, not literally jump up, but you know what I mean? She's laying down in the bed and she just pops up when she sees me. She's like, hey, Kuda. I was like, hey, let's get you dressed. I'm going to take you to the emergency room. Because in my head, I'm thinking it could be something dealing with internal bleeding. And so, I'm helping her get dressed and putting her on top, put on the shoes. And I said, she had some Elizabeth Taylor. She had some diamonds perfume, and I grabbed it. And jokingly, she was like, "Oh yeah, that's the good stuff." And I just sprayed it on her. I think I said she could walk. She was just walking slow. And in my parents' house, they got the Stairmaster. And so I helped her get on that. And I went by her so she can just come down there. And I remember my dad being at the top of the stairs, and my mom's coming down slowly on Stairmaster. And again, I'm not thinking nothing of it. And then I just took her, and I just took her, and she came downstairs and got her jackets on. I remember that day was a little misty, a little rain. It wasn't cold, a little chill, but not like October. It's still that kind of changing over. So anyway, I said, Mom, we got in the car. I remember getting in the car, and the look she had looking at me. And my dad was like, all right, y'all be careful. He told my mom, take care, honey. Because he don't really talk like that. So that's why that was, he don't express himself like that. Remember, that's a part of the narcissism. They don't like to express themselves. Because they think that's a weak thing, being a narcissist. If I express myself, that's weak. But anyway, drove her to the hospital, my mom to the hospital. We're in the hospital, and we're, she's getting all these tests done, and they said, something about her kidney. Nothing bad, but it was like her kidney level was a little bit low. They had to put some IVs in her, and everything of that nature. Now my dad was sick too. That's another reason why. He was like had like a severe cold, and that was the complications of COVID hitting him, So I go and I tell my mom, with my mom in the ER, we were in the ER for like 5 hours. Now, thank God, and I thank God for this sermon. So thank you, Yahweh, for this. Like, I was up in there, and I'm like, they were like, oh, well, we can send her home, and yada yada yada. Now, I knew the climate and how my dad was feeling. I knew how, everything was. So what I did is I said, can y'all just please keep her overnight for observation? Because again, I was thinking of something internal as far as internal bleeding, right? I remember taking my mom to the, helping her go to the bathroom. I remember she was very weak, so she can give a urine sample. And I never forget talking to her that day. And, it was a little bit different, She had asked, she said, and this is, again, subconsciously, because some people know. She's like, yo, where's your dad at? And her and I used to joke, and I was like, he in the house, being a fool. But I've taken my mom to ER quite a few times. She never asked, where my dad was. So I thought that was weird. I remember rubbing her hair. I remember just having a good conversation, laughing and joking up with her. I remember her even, for some reason, I mentioned Kobe Bryant because, he had passed earlier that year in January, 26th of 2020. And I personally know Kobe, especially in, not in adult years, but in the teen years. And that's in my book, another book of mine. But I just told her, I was like, Mom, I miss Kobe, right? I don't know how that started or whatever, but it just came up. She's like, yeah, I know. And, sometimes when people about to pass, they know. But again, I just didn't know. I remember hanging around with her. We had an amazing 5 hours. Little did I know that was going to be our last 5 hours. I'm thankful that it was. But I didn't know. I was there when they started giving her, and I asked them to have her be there overnight. I remember them giving her the COVID test. And from there on, I wasn't thinking nothing of it. I know that was procedure. COVID numbers had really dipped at that time. So again, I'm not thinking that it is what it is. And I told her that I had to leave because I had an ice cream shipment. And I was going to meet one of my managers, John. What up, John? And, I got a call. And then, so from there, I had, I had went and, what did I do? Oh, from there I had, I had went and I, just spending time with mom, laughing, joking, just talking about everything, just being there, just having a great mother-son moment. And so I know I had to leave soon. I told her, hey, I said, cool, I may have to leave. And she's like, don't worry about it. If you got to go, I know you got to get your ice cream. She's very proud of me having an ice cream business. She's very proud of my brother for the things that he accomplished in his life. And, she just knew she had some great and loving sons, and she appreciated us to the most. Right? Like any great mother would, but just something extra special about that woman. So anyway, I'm in there, busting it up, and they take her to do another test. They bring her back, and I was like, I said, Mom, I can come back, or I can stay a little bit longer. And she said, nah, Kuda. She said, nah, don't worry about it, honey. I'll be okay. It's okay. I'll be okay. I'm like, you sure? I'll be okay. And I remember I had to go out into the front, and I gave them my phone number to call me instead of calling my dad, because he was feeling some type of way. But when she said she'll be okay, I remember them just wheeling her off, on a stretcher, and then they were making her right because they were going to take her from the ER to the room, and she was going to be in it. And I remember looking at her, and I didn't know that was going to be the last time I saw her, and it was. Can kind of find out a couple days later she had COVID. I was able to talk to her on the phone. One nurse gave me and I get being a nurse professional. I got friends, and and she didn't want to tell me the bad news. She was just like, yeah, she got COVID. She should be all right. She'll be fine. You know what I mean? And then I got another diagnosis from another nurse, and she was like, yeah, she's not doing too good. And that's when I really started to worry. And that's when I started getting scared. And I started really praying. I remember saying, talking to her. I said, Mom, just keep fighting. I started to choke up. Said she really wasn't eating. She had to lay on her stomach. Amazing. What frustrating that you can't go to the hospital. You can't see her, And I remember just being so frustrated, frustrated at my dad around this time, especially when the news kept going. And she kept declining. And I was at my business. I was at Dreams. I was outside, and I remember saying to myself, I said, Dad, I said, yo, you can't do that. Like, you can't, shoot. I just thought him and I had a real nasty argument and discussion, conversation. And a lot of stuff just came up just by how he was cheating on her, how he treated her. And of course, he's trying to escape his guilt and saying it's God's will instead of being a man and saying, listen, it's my fault. I know I treated her bad. And because he couldn't really make that right in that moment. So then it became a decision. On the 28th, my brother Marlo shot you out again. And we had to make a decision on either put her on the ventilator or just let her go. Because they said if they had performed CPR, I would have broke her ribs. I asked the doctor, honestly, I said, Doc, man, I said, what would you do if this is your mom? And he got real professional on me. And he heard my voice. He was like, well, I can't really say anything. And he heard my voice. And he heard like how authentic and real I was. And he's like, listen, if it was my mom, I would just want to make her comfortable before she goes. And later that day, ironically, as God had it, my brother ran over to my parents' house. I was at my brother's house. I wanted to be around him. I felt it was important that we be around each other. And they had a little connection era trying to get everything together as far as trying to get the connection, because they were going to do a FaceTime. There was an issue with the internet. It's crazy, but my brother was able to get it through. My father was able to see my mom. I didn't want to see her in that state. I just wanted to, she was almost lifeless. She couldn't talk. But my brother, my dad were telling her that they loved her. She heard their voice, and the nurse in the hospital room at that time. Was according to my brother, was saying like, hey, she heard your voice, like she kind of like her, she heard their voice, and she got excited, and she couldn't talk, but her vitals kind of went up, and my brother said these exact words to her, and he said, "Mom, it's okay. So you can go home. It's time for you to go see God. You don't gotta suffer no more. You can go to heaven." And as soon as he said that to her heart went up. So you can go home. You can go to heaven. And then she passed away just like that. So it's just amazing. I mean, it is true when people say some people, they really don't pass away because they're fighting to hear you and to hear your voice, And I had said my prayers. I remember that morning I woke up. I had this dream, and it was two little girls going to school, and their school uniform. It wasn't my daughter I was dreaming about. I couldn't identify them, but I believe that was my mom and her sister. And that's like little kids that like just rejoicing that she was about to go home and go to heaven. That's what's in my spirit, and that's what I know. And yeah, that's how that happened. And that was October 28th, 2020. So, after that happened, it's really tough for me the next 6-7 months. People grieve in different ways. Grieving is something that when I coach people, I try to get people through it. I say you grieve on your own time. When somebody that closest passes away, you're going to have memories of them. And you might not even think about it, but you could just be reading or watching the TV or just driving, and something just come up like boom, and it make you think that person, you start crying. And so for me, I really didn't gain that peace until about about 5-6 months later. I just prayed for that peace, and I was able to get up, move, do my thing. I wasn't like, I knew she was in heaven. A couple weeks later, I even had a dream where it was like her and I were walking across the street, maybe about like a month and a half after she passed, and it was so surreal. And she's like, she said these exact words to me. She said, "I just came from heaven to let you know that I miss you too." Right? And then we walked across the street in a dream. And that gave me such a peace in my spirit. I was like, yes, I can go out here and do anything. She talked to me. I'm good. She good. So let me go and do what I got to do. And so from there, that's when I started really focusing even more actually on my business, getting things together, and boom, boom, boom. Now we're looking at, this is like 21, May, June of 21. And then I get a call in June 2021 from my father, again, who are like, him and I like oil and water. And he's like, "Oh, son, I need you to stay with me. I need you to be with me." And I'm like, what? Like, all the pain you caused her, my brother, me, and now you want me? This is crazy. But since I've been a selfless person, I understand what my dad been through. My dad lost his mom, my grandma, at 98 in 2018. He lost his brother in 2019. He lost my mom in 2020. So I'm like, damn, this dude, even though I don't bang with him like that, I still love him as my dad. He's going through some stuff. Let me still be a couple nights, help him, because he's feeling that loneliness. And then from that point on, I just realized how much he really needed me. We had some serious blow-ups. I mean, I cussed his ass out several times, let him know how I feel, how he did my mom dirty, if I was going through this, he wouldn't be there for me. Just coming at his neck, all of that. But then I saw somebody who had this macho, narcissistic, I'm this, I'm that, I could do anything I want to do. And I just started to see a decline, even though I was there. And then I had to just kind of realize to myself, like I said to him at my mom's funeral, which was on November 14th of 2020, I just told him, I said, listen, man, I got to give you some props, man. I said, you chose my mom. And you chose the woman who loved me, my brother, and you unconditionally. Showed a godly love, a real love, a love that's like no money price tag on it. I got to give you props for that. And then in retrospect, it's two parents that form one person, right? And you know, it's so if I front on my dad, I'm fronting on myself. As bad as it is, when somebody don't know, they don't know. My brother and I character were amazing because a lot of my character came from my mom. It definitely starts with God. That's the source. But that's where it comes from. Come from her. Selfless, just strong, taking stuff, no matter, just loving through all the issues. And she could have been bitter and nasty towards me and my brother. She could have been selfish. She could have dwindled in her own pain, drunk away her own pain, drugged away her own pain, cussed away her. She ain't do that. She just loved through, man. I never seen nobody like that, man. She's amazing. She's an amazing woman. And so that's naturally, I'm like that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes sometimes the loyalty can be to a fault. It can be to your detriment. But now, fast forward, we in a moment now. We in February 23. I've been caretaking for my pop party since like August of 2021. And caretaking is not easy, man. Especially with somebody that you traditionally don't like. I love them, but you don't gotta like everybody you love, right? But I seen something. I seen a change in them, a shift. You know, my dad was the type of person with old feelings in, but he crying now. He cries, you know, when he hurts. He cries when he misses. I never seen somebody never showed emotion in his life. He's just different, man. You know, and you know in the Bible they say you once a man, twice a child. And the same individual who I was mad at, I'm not even dealing with now because I'm dealing with this child. And that's the tough thing. Is you know, understanding that when I had to come to a realization because I'm in the same place because I'm staying with him because he asked me to stay with him. So I'm in the same place, which really works on my mental, where all the drama and the trauma took place, where I grew up at. But a lot of the mental abuse, a lot of the self-doubt was created, a lot of the... So not only trying to formulate this relationship with my father, but I'm dealing with all my past demons, I'm dealing with all the stuff. And then I'm still having, you know, the memories of my mom. You know what I'm saying? There's some great memories. Of course, me and my brother grew up there, you know, my homies the block, but it's like, yo, this ain't my life. This ain't my world. Why I gotta sacrifice my life for you? That's where the frustration comes from. Most people take care of their parents. The majority of them are women, because this may be like a man that 1 or 2% of men actually do it, but it's tough, man. You know what I mean? I ain't want to do this. This ain't part of the assignment that I thought I signed up for. I don't remember really signing up for, but this is something that I got to do. That's why I do it. And it's gotten, this year was really, really rough. It's gotten a lot better. I salute my dad. I salute. And I love him. We've gotten closer, obviously. because he's not that same person. If he was that same stubborn person, I'd have been middle finger, you on your own, so it makes it a lot easier. And that's why I like to tell people, like, in a situation like, especially with men, have a book come out. And it's called Him Story, and it's with a group of authors, and that's what my chapter's about. It's about um, forgiveness, reconciliation, redemption, being relentless, um, and coming to that full circle. So for me, it hasn't been easy, but it's a lot better once you get through it. And so I salute my dad. I love you, whether you see this or not. And I see you trying. I see you being strong. And I just appreciate you making this turn. And if it takes me to help you make this turn, then I'm thankful to God that He chose me to do it. I still deal with my own personal stuff that I deal with mentally, physically, because of it, psychologically, things like that. But I'm still pushing. I'm still relentless. I'm still Lamar. And I still got to do everything I got to do to grind. So for me, some of this stuff is not easy, but we pushing through. We're making it. But caretaking is not for the faint of heart. It is. It takes a lot out of you. It can be very, very, very stressful. Even when you handling your endeavors. But me being a successful serial entrepreneur allows me to have time to do it. Take my dad to his doctor's appointments. Take him, letting the doctors know what's really going on. Being a caretaker, means you start running another household. I have my own household. I run his household, and I run my own business. So I'm running 3 of them. So that can take a toll on relationships that you want to have with, I want to have with other women, and just me traveling or doing anything like that. That takes a toll on you, and but now it's allowed me to really come kind of full circle with these things. And if anybody's being a caretaker, like I said, I salute you, man or woman, whoever you may be taking care of. Like, that is no joke, and we gotta prepare for that as families. The burden should fall on one person. You gotta watch out for these different facilities. I know people going through it. Like that. Shout out to Lynette. Shout out to other people who really like dealing with things. Shout out to Ryan, who's going through this as well. With his aunt who's 101 years old, he dealt with his mom. The dude is incredible. Lynette's incredible. She's been doing it for years. And I couldn't really understand her pain initially until I started dealing with it. And then I'm like, oh, I see what she's talking about, So dealing with all that can really change your world. But if you're open to it, you're open to the challenge. Sometimes you have to be slowed down. My dad has always shown his side of greatness and how he's handled the situation, even with me. So to say that, I just want to say, listen, man, this thing out here is real. Being a caretaker is very challenging, but in some forms you can look at, and it can be very rewarding. A lot of times men are taught not to cry. Don't cry, you a punk, you a sucker, you corny, you weak, you this, you that, you whack. But I always say that no color of tears. Color of tears are clear. The reason why God gave them our tears to be clear, because they cleanse, right? And if we wasn't supposed to cry, then why did Jesus weep? He wept. He ain't no sucker, right? Whether you believe in him or not, it's a very true story from my perspective and my view. So if he wept, he can cry. Crying and tears are actually a weapon.
and we need to utilize it in the right way. So I don't care who you are, what you've been through, how old you are, young, old, this and that. This is why we cry. It's important to cry. And use our tears over tyranny. And tears is representing the toughness, and tears are representing the things you went through time and you overcome. So I'm just shouting out all the caretakers, everybody who lost somebody from COVID, still losing people from COVID. I feel your pain. People dealing with their father and son relationship, and no matter what aspect, I feel your pain. If you're dealing with any parent, if you got beef with your mom and your mom did you dirty, I feel your pain. For our parental side, like I said, I love my mom, but it's tough, man. You gotta remember, some people cannot give you what they don't have. And people bring you in this world, and a lot of people may not be mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally prepared for that. And they've done things that are just wrong. And they've wronged you. But you got to be that person to stop that generational curse in your family and overcome and be that one. It's always the roughest for the person that's changing that perspective. So know that I got your back. All right? So, being a caretaker, just put everything that you need to do in line. If you can get help from the state, get help from the state. But watch that. That's a trap. Because that can be gentrification. It's a slick way of doing gentrification, because when that person passes away and you're working there or working for a company that's getting money from the state, it'll come back on you, and they'll try to take the money from you or from that house to put a lien on that house. It's crazy, some of the stuff out here that I've been finding out. So, or you can just hire somebody to come out of your pocket, find out organizations in the city, state. There's a lot of organizations, community connections. Shout out to Miss Teresa. So it's a lot of people you can reach out to. And yeah, so I just want to let y'all know. You're missing somebody you love close to, trust me. It's hard. We don't know our time. We're not guaranteed to be here. But just keep persevering, keep fighting, and just keep being relentless. All right? So I appreciate y'all. I appreciate this time that I had by being a caretaker. And I'm glad I was able to shed some light on it. I'm glad I got real emotional, real with y'all, because it's real. All right? And, but just be relentless. And always hit me up, relentlesslamar.com, everythingrelentless.com. And, yeah, we'll talk soon. One.